Reading or listening to the news is a great way to improve your English. But let's face it, the news right now is depressing. And sometimes it's overcomplicated in terms of vocabulary. And that's why I have chosen 4 short, interesting news articles about 4 completely different topics that I'm going to read out loud to you, review the vocabulary, and offer my own thoughts at the same time. So, that being said, let's get started. The first article is Songs with non-English lyrics are becoming more popular. I repeat, this is the title. Songs with non-English lyrics are becoming more popular. So, let's read it. Ready? Since the advent of rock and roll in the 1950s, music from the USA and UK has dominated global music charts. Both countries have benefited considerably from the soft power of hit songs with English lyrics. However, the English language dominance of the music industry is under threat from songs from the non-English speaking countries. This is according to the music streaming giant Spotify. The company said English language music was losing its long-time stranglehold. There has been a surge in demand for songs sung in Spanish, Korean, Arabic, and other languages. Spotify said the number of non-English songs in the charts more than doubled between 2020 and 2025. A prime example of how English is losing its hegemony is the worldwide popularity of the Puerto Rican singer Bad Bunny. He sings exclusively in Spanish and was Spotify's most streamed artist globally in 2025. Meanwhile, Spanish artist Rosalía astounded the music world with her award-winning album Lux, on which she sings in 13 different languages. Impressive. Spotify said 3 music genres have seen their chart presence rise by 30% or more in the past 5 years. These are Brazilian funk, K-pop, trap Latino, and their streams increased by 36%, 31%, and 30% respectively. The music website NME said, the trend is likely to continue growing further into 2026. So there you have it. Maybe the dominance of English lyrics and English music is dying out. Perhaps it is disappearing in this day and age, because Spanish songs, Brazilian songs, Arabic songs, Korean songs are becoming more and more popular. And this is something that I have noticed as well. Of course, because I use music to learn other languages, and I think this is a good thing that you could also do. So I'd encourage you to listen to English songs and review the lyrics, study the lyrics to improve your English language skills. But yeah, maybe in the future, people in the USA and the UK will be singing and learning Spanish and Brazilian through music. That'd be beautiful, if you ask me. But now, let's just review some of the vocabulary. At the beginning, we had the phrase, since the advent of rock and roll in the 1950s. The advent is the arrival, the beginning, essentially. Another useful phrase is under threat. English language dominance is under threat, meaning like it's in danger. It is threatened. It might not last in the long run. And the company, Spotify, also mentioned that English language music was losing its long-time stranglehold. To strangle is to choke someone. So if you have a stranglehold on something, you have a very, very tight grip, meaning that you're holding onto it. that you are trying to preserve it. It's a synonym of dominance. So stranglehold and dominance. Other vocabulary, we have hegemony. And hegemony is another way of saying dominance. So if English language is losing its hegemony, it's losing its stranglehold, its dominance. Perfect. We discussed how Rosalia astounded the music world. If you astound someone, you impress them, you amaze them, you shock them. She astounded the music world. And let's pick one final word to review, which could be decisions. Let's go with the pronunciation of the word genres. Spotify said 3 music genres. And a genre is a type or a kind of art, music. So classical music is a music genre. Genre. So there we have it. That is the first short news story and article. And let me know, what do you think? Do you listen to music in your own language? Or do you only listen to it in English? What do you prefer doing? Because, it'd be interesting to find out what you prefer and if you think that English language music will become less and less popular in the future or not. But now, let's review another article. And this next one is titled, Negative People Might Make Us Age More Quickly. Negative people might make us age more quickly. Wow. So if you are surrounded by people who are always pessimistic, they're always a bit down, they're always very negative, then you might be getting older more quickly as a result. So positive vibes only, everybody. So let me read. I'll give a few thoughts and then I'll review some vocabulary once again. Let's do it. So, from supportive friendships to toxic colleagues, our relationships can shape our stress levels more than our jobs, finances, or even our diet and health habits. A new study suggests that who we surround ourselves with can negatively affect our longevity. Scientists at Indiana University in the USA conducted a study on how the people around us can impact the stress in our lives. The researchers focused on the effect people called hasslers had on us. A hassler is an annoying individual who regularly hassles us. Lead researcher Professor Bria Perry said, having more hasslers is associated with accelerated biological aging and how much wear and tear people have on their body. Wow. The study is published in the journal PNAS. Researchers questioned participants about the difficult relationships in their lives to identify hasslers. Dr. Perry found around 1/3 of the participants had at least one hassler in their social network. She said about 10% had at least 2 hasslers. She suggested that each individual hassler was associated with a 1.5% faster pace of aging. Perry added, it can actually take days for that stress response to drop and for your body to go back to normal. She highlighted the adverse effects of accumulated stress from hasslers, saying, when you experience that chronically, over and over again, it has this long-term effect on your body. Hasslers. So that is the second article about how essentially annoying people can negatively affect us. They can make us feel more stressed, which leads to aging faster. And I'm sure you've already learnt a new word, which is a hassler, an annoying person. And this person hassles you, annoys you. And all of this is hassling. And I think that, especially on Sundays when I have my relaxing days, I hate it when people hassle me. When maybe my fiance will say, "Ah, Lewis, come on, we need to clean the house, or we need to do the laundry, or we need to go to the shop." And if I'm tired on a Sunday, I don't want her hassling me. And if I'm back home in the UK, sometimes my mum will hassle me as well. But I never thought that this could actually make you age faster. What do you think? Do you think annoying people, hasslers, can actually have such a negative impact on your long term health? Because I'm a little bit skeptical. But if it's what the researchers and the scientists said, then I guess we will have to take their word for it. We'll have to believe what they said. But now, let's review a few words. This article, I think, was a little bit easier, so we don't have to review quite as many. But we'll start with longevity. And your longevity is, well, your lifespan, your ability to live for a long period of time. If you do exercise and you have a healthy diet, then your longevity should improve. Then we already reviewed hassler a lot, but how about wear and tear? Wear and tear is an interesting phrase which is often used with items or clothing, shoes maybe, and it is the fact that as you use something and you wear something, it, well, loses its quality. It gets a little bit broken. And it could also be used with a figurative meaning for, well, how much stress your body can assume. So here, having more hasslers is associated with accelerated biological aging and how much wear and tear people have on their body. Here, wear and tear is how much it exhausts you. And wear and tear with clothes is how much you use these clothes before they end up breaking, tearing, ripping. Then we'll move on to the second paragraph. And here we repeat the word hassler quite a lot. And other than that, we don't have too many advanced words, but we'll finish with over and over again. If, well, you experience hasslers over and over again, it's a way of saying repeatedly, without stopping. Over and over again. I advise you to review this podcast over and over again. But that's it. That'll do for the second article, which was a little bit shorter than the first one. And it was about how negative people can make you age faster. Now, the third article is personally my favorite, and it's a very uplifting story, which maybe you'll have seen online because there were certain videos of, well, an interview with an Australian boy who saved his family, literally saved them after swimming for an hour. I don't know exactly how much, but I'm going to tell you right now. So the third article is titled Hero Boy Swims for 4 hours to save his family. There you have it. 4 hours to save his family. Now, let me tell you more about it. So, a 13-year-old Australian boy has been hailed a hero after an epic swim that saved his family. The boy, Austin Appleby, and his family were on a beach holiday in Western Australia. They were kayaking and paddleboarding in shallow water when strong winds pushed them farther offshore. They ended up with over 4 kilometers away from land, and the daylight was fading. Austin decided to kayak to shore to get help. However, the waves had damaged his kayak, which had taken in water and flipped over. He said he then lost an oar and knew he was in trouble. He decided he had no alternative but to swim back to land. He swam through shark-frequented waters to raise the alarm. What a hero. Austin made it to the beach and phoned for help. This sparked a huge rescue operation, which resulted in Coast Guards finding the teenager's mother and 2 younger sisters. The boy said, "I hit the bottom of the beach and I just collapsed. And then, after that, I had to sprint 2 kilometers to get to the phone." Rescuers called his efforts superhuman. One rescuer said Austin's actions could not be praised highly enough. He added that the teenager's determination and courage ultimately saved the lives of his mother and siblings. Austin's mother, Joanne, 47, told reporters, "The wind picked up, we lost oars, and we drifted out further. It was an absolute nightmare." And there you have it. That is the 3rd article. And do you agree with me? It's the best one, right? It's the most exciting one. And I'd encourage you to watch the YouTube interview with Austin as he tells you how he achieved this amazing feat. It's pretty emotional, I'm not going to lie. And yeah, I think about this, knowing that I've spent time in Australia before, and when I was there, you see spiders, sharks, you see snakes, and this is this little Aussie kid swimming for 4 hours in waters that are frequented by sharks and jellyfish and so many horrible things. But he was so brave, so courageous, and so fit as well that he just kept swimming, and even when he reached shore, he passed out for a moment, he fainted, but then he knew he had to keep going. He had to raise the alarm, and he had to call for help to save his family. So you can just imagine how he's going to remember this for the rest of his life, and his family are also going to remember it and be grateful to him for the rest of their life. But now, let's have a look at some of the words and phrases, because this one includes some advanced vocabulary, I think. And the first word is hailed. So the Australian boy has been hailed a hero, meaning like praised for being a hero. After that, what do we have? Shallow. So they were kayaking and paddleboarding in shallow water. And shallow is the opposite of deep. And then, well, strong winds push them farther offshore, meaning away from land. And at this point, daylight was fading, so it was starting to get dark. Sunset was approaching. And here, their kayak flipped over. To flip over is to turn quickly. So it flipped over, it capsized. And if you have a kayak, you have an oar, which is like a paddle. So he lost an oar, he lost a paddle. Then moving down to the second paragraph, we have this sparked a huge rescue operation. To spark something is to trigger something, to make something happen. It sparked a big rescue operation or it triggered a big rescue operation. And as we saw earlier, to be hailed a hero is to be praised and announced as a hero. And lastly, we will review the phrasal verb of drift out. So, to drift out into the ocean is to gradually and uncontrollably be dragged or pushed in a direction by the water and the currents. They were drifted out. And there you have it. There you have Austin's story about how he saved his family, his two little sisters and his mum. So he is an absolute hero. And what do you think? Do you think you'd have been able to do that? Imagine when you're 11 or 13 years old doing all that. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. But now, let's finish off with the fourth short news article. And it is about fermented food, something that is very trendy. It's all the rage at the moment. So, the title is Fermented Food Can Help Expel Nanoplastics from the Body. Fermented food can help expel nanoplastics from the body. Let me read it. Ready? I hope so. Scientists have written extensively about the prevalence of microplastics and nanoplastics in the environment and in our bodies. Microplastics are larger than a microcentimeter, 1 millionth of a meter, while nanoplastics are smaller than a micrometer. Oof. A new study has found that bacteria from the fermented Korean dish kimchi can help to expel nanoplastics from the body. Amazing. Researchers at the World Institute of Kimchi in South Korea have discovered a microbe that can attach itself to nanoplastics in the gut. The foreign body is then safely expelled in our bodily waste. The plastic does not pass through the intestinal lining and accumulate in organs like the brain, heart, kidneys, and liver. Nanoplastics are of increasing concern to the medical community. There are many unknown side effects of these tiny particles being in our organs. Current estimates suggest people take in up to 120,000 microscopic fragments every year. Newspapers often print stories about our body containing 7 grams of plastic, which is about the mass of a credit card. Ugh. The Korean scientists believe their research might alleviate the accumulation of plastic in our bodies. Lead researcher Dr. Si-hee Lee said, microorganisms derived from traditional fermented foods could represent a new biological approach to address this emerging challenge. We will continue to expand the scientific value of kimchi. Kimchi to the rescue! I mean, I like kimchi. It's very tasty. And whenever I've been to Korean restaurants or Korean barbecue places, you always have sides of kimchi. And it is yummy, tasty, delicious. It is to die for. So if I'm being advised to eat more kimchi, I'm more than happy to. It sounds like good news to me. And I know there are other fermented foods like kefir, for example, that I assume also has the same kind of benefits. But yeah, it is a little bit concerning. Microplastics, nanoplastics. And I know sometimes I will buy bottled water, and you wonder if some of this microplastic, nanoplastic can transfer from the bottles of plastic into our system. I don't know. I'm not sure. But for sure, whenever we are eating fish, there's going to be small amounts of plastic in the fish because in our oceans, there are so many micro and nanoplastics. So it makes me feel a bit queasy when I think that I've probably got plastic inside my body. And I guess you do as well. So bring on the kimchi. Bring on the kimchi. Kimchi to the rescue. All right, now let me do a little recap of these words and phrases. So at the beginning, we spoke about microplastics and nanoplastics, but it's all relatively understandable. Then we had the verb to expel, and if kimchi helps to expel nanoplastics, it helps to remove from our system. And it attaches itself to the gut. Your gut is essentially your tummy, your belly. And then after that, it said the foreign body. Here, we're not speaking about a foreigner, like a person from a different country who lives in your country. No, we're speaking about plastic because it doesn't belong in our systems. Therefore, we're using the phrase foreign body to describe something that doesn't belong in our bodies. So, nanoplastics are foreign bodies in this case. Then moving down to the second paragraph, we also have take in. So current estimates suggest people take in up to 120,000 microscopic fragments every year. To take in is like to absorb or to ingest. Scary to think, isn't it? And then after that, we have a nice verb to alleviate. And if this research might alleviate the accumulation of plastic in our bodies, it means to make something better, to ease something, to relieve this problem. And, well, I think that is pretty much it. So that is all about how kimchi and fermented food can expel nanoplastics from our body. So now I'm going to finish this podcast and I'm going to go and buy some kefir and some kimchi and I'm going to try and expel as much plastic from my body as possible. But on that note, I will finish off this podcast. Let me know if you like me to review different news articles and read them out loud. And if so, I can make one of these videos every month. But you tell me in the comments if this is your cup of tea or not. No worries, and I love the feedback. So thanks for watching, and see you next time. Bye-bye!